essentially, I mean, you were unsupported. You're doing this solo. All the food you're bringing along with you on a sled. You can't restock. You're dropped off there in Antarctica. Like, I mean, just if you could kind of talk and explain what led to that, and then ultimately, what that experience was like, just so people can understand the distance, the temperature, the logistics of it.
Yeah. So what I was attempting to do was become the first person in history to complete a solo, so completely alone, unsupported, which means no resupplies of food or fuel. So you have to carry everything with you from your drop-off point to the end, which makes it very heavy. My sled was 375 pounds, mostly full of food. And like I said, a little bit of white gas to be able to melt snow and turn it into water, and very minimal gear because still 375 pounds. I could tell you a whole story. I could barely pull the thing when it started. Human powered. So, no dogs, or people have done some amazing crossings of the continent using kites to propel them. But my goal was kind of the most pure mano a mano way, just me, my sled, pulling, on foot, wearing skis, but just to add, not like you're skiing, just to add some stability over the snow. That's called man hauling. And so nobody in history had ever completed that crossing over the landmass of Antarctica. And people had tried in the past. A few years before I went, a guy named Henry Worsley tried a very similar crossing, and he was out there for 71 days. Very experienced British explorer. He's actually the grand nephew, I believe, of Ernest Shackleton, and he or one of the guys from Ernest Shackleton's crew. Excuse me. And he made it 71 days, 100 miles from the finish line of the thing, and actually got a bacterial infection and ultimately died. Another guy attempted the crossing a couple years after that, the year before I tried, and he made it. Very experienced British explorer, made it 54 days into it, and ultimately ran so low on supplies and food that he had to be called to be evacuated. So, people had basically started to say, this crossing is impossible. People have tried it. The math just doesn't add up. You can't literally carry enough food with you. If you pack your sled with 1,000 pounds of food, obviously you can't pull it. If you don't bring enough food, you're going to run out, and you're going to get sick and die, or, any number of things can happen. And so people said it was impossible. And my wife and I, we love to name the projects that I do, kind of brand them, but just kind of fun for us. And so we decided to call this project The Impossible First, which is also the name of my New York Times bestselling book, The Impossible First. But it wasn't because we were like, oh, people say it's impossible, in some cocky way of saying like, oh, but I'm going to prove them wrong. It was literally saying this actually might be impossible. However, I'm willing to try my very best. I'm willing to go out there. And if I fail in 50 days, I still believe there's value in trying something this hard, because I'm going to learn something from it. I'm going to grow something from it. I'm going to confront those 1 days and have those 10 days all around it. Of course, I was hoping to complete it and be successful. And, ultimately I was, but it was far from a gimme. And so the impossible first, that idea is bounded upon like, hey, look, certain things might seem impossible in certain moments, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try. You shouldn't take those first steps and engage that process, which is exactly what we did out there.